Buenos dias and welcome back to another video, everybody. I am in my backyard today shooting toy photography. I have some Army men toy dolls and some Special Forces Army Ranger dolls that I've been wanting to shoot outdoors. Just the other day I ran into a few images online that I really enjoyed, and I wanted to try to recreate those and capture those here in my backyard. Of course, I'm in my backyard because we're shelter in place and we're trying to stay home and we're trying to do the right thing. So this is some isolation inspiration, if you will. So what I decided to do was have a little extra fun and shoot with my Canon M50. I have an EF to M mount adapter on here. I have an M42 screw-on mount so I could adapt my Takumar f2 55mm manual lens. So that's what I decided to go with today. So as you can see behind me, I wanted to filter the light a little bit and put that 5-in-1 screen behind me. I grabbed a bunch of sticks and grass to try to recreate two different images. One where a military soldier was shooting from left to right and he was kind of in the brush, and then the other soldier was shooting from right to left in orientation, and his positioning was on a wood log and kind of with his chest mounted up a little bit more, and he was actually a left-handed shooter unless the image is inverse, but nonetheless I went with it and set it up that way. So I had a lot of fun shooting it. I shot it wide open at f2, which gives me a thin layer of focus. So what I decided to do was focus stack it. So depending on the image I was shooting, I was either focusing from left to right, or the other image I was shooting from top to bottom. Let's go ahead and get back in the studio, jump into Lightroom, and let's edit these images. We are all settled into the studio. Let's pop into Lightroom. All right, this first image is my first image that I shot today. So I wanted to convert all these images to black and white. So that's what you see here. The original color image is this here. Again, it's one shot at f2, so the depth of field was not there for me, meaning there wasn't enough depth of field for me to get everything sharp and in focus. So that's what you're gonna see in a few of the later images. So let's go back to this black and white image. As you can see over in the development tool or the development panel, I increased the contrast a tad, lowered the highlights, popped up the shadows a bit, lowered the whites, lowered the blacks. I wanted it to be a little bit more moody. This is war. And you can tell the shot that I was trying to mimic, the one that inspired me to create these images, was shot in the midday sun. At least it appears that way. So I stuck with that idea knowing that I would want a little bit of brightness, but I leaned towards the darker side of things, even though there is a lot of light on the subject. You can see that this soldier is in the bush. It's about a 45-degree angle on the soldier, and that's what I was trying to mimic. I don't think I got quite the angle that I wanted to here in this first image, so I did take another image. This is the second image that I took, and essentially, if you look at the eye, let me see if I can focus in on that eye. That eye looks pretty realistic to me, and again, I just punched in a little bit. I still don't feel like I was at the 100% angle that I really wanted to be at here. However, if I'm punching in here, I added a little grain. I think this looks pretty realistic, minus some of the plastic finish or end spots where they had to manufacture the rifle, but nonetheless, I think if you omit some of that, I think it looks pretty good. My toy soldier had gloves on, and I like that they're actually obscured, but coming up here, I shot a multi-focused image, so I would be clear from his right ear all the way to the tip of the barrel of the gun. So let's actually get into those images. So what you'll see here in the first image, I focus right below the right ear, his right ear, and then I proceeded as I move along these images to move down the rifle towards the barrel, end of the barrel of the gun. As you can see there, the center part of the rifle is now focused, a little bit further down the barrel, down in focus, more focused, we're almost there. And you can see his glove is now very much in focus. Got two more shots. Almost the end of the barrel is in focus. And then voila, the end of the barrel is in focus. I'm gonna go ahead and focus stack all of these images in Photoshop, and I'll show you how I do that to get one complete image. So first things first, I'm going to select all 10 images here, and I'm going to go up to Photo, Edit in Layers in Photoshop. We'll go ahead and wait for Photoshop to open up. So here are all the images loaded up into Photoshop. If you noticed, I have 10 layers, or the 10 images over here in the right side panel. I'm going to go ahead and select them all, and then I'm going to go up here to Edit, and I'm going to auto align all of these layers. Photoshop has now completed auto aligning all the images. So now I'm gonna go up to Edit, and I'm gonna auto blend all of these images. What that means is Photoshop's gonna take every single one of these images that are stacked on each other and blend them together and use the most in focus parts of each of those images. Remember, I showed you the soldier's bottom right ear was in focus all the way to the front of the rifle, and that's what it's going to auto blend. So let's go ahead and do that now. All the images are selected, and let's go to auto blend layers. Then this dialog box pops open and asks if I want to stack these images, and if I want to content aware fill all the transparent areas. And as you can see on the edges here, there are some transparent areas, and it's just going to fill those in on the edges. I will choose to do that, but you can turn that off if you wish not to. All right, there we go. It has created a seamless composition. You can see the marching ants around it and leaves the areas there, and it's showing you where it actually filled in, where there was that kind of transparent area in the background, that checkered looking thing on the edges. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave Photoshop, I'm gonna go to File, and I'm gonna save. And if we pop back into Lightroom, then we will see that image pop up here as a saved, blended image. So now you can see that the image is nice and sharp from the bottom of the ear, at least that part of the image, meaning the depth of that part of the image, all the way to the base, or the front of the rifle, I should say. All right, the image is looking pretty good. The background is soft in the upper half of the image, just like I wanted it, and the lower half has its greens with a little bit of detail in it, and especially the soldier is definitely sharp and in focus. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to convert this to black and white, and then I'm going to paste the attributes of the image that I liked earlier, which has some of the grain and the contrast and the dehaze in it. I really like this image. I'm digging this image. It's one of my faves. So I'm going to take all the development work from the right side of the panel, and I'm going to paste it in to that image that I just created, and here we go. All right, it's got that grain, as you can see. And the only thing I think we have to do right now is focus in on the cropping of this image, because as you can see in my inspiration image, it's very much a cropped in or close-up of the soldier. So we're gonna go ahead and crop this down. We're gonna leave it in the same aspect ratio, but I'm gonna pull down until just about the top of his hat here. And then I'm gonna pull from the other corner and lose the front part of that rifle. Feel like his shoulder and his hand should be there. Part of the rifle cartridge should be there. I kind of like that. What do you guys think? Let's go ahead and look at that. Yes. Let's put the inspiration image back up there. It's not bad. I think if I would have gotten a little bit lower, I would have been in a little bit better shape. But if you look at the size of the helmet versus the size of the beanie, if you would, or his head, they look pretty similar in size in terms of just comparing them screen for screen. To me, it really looks like this soldier is out in the brush and he's just defending himself. And I am psyched. I'm pumped. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that image. All right, let's take a look at the second inspiration image. This image is of a soldier who appears to be left-handed. I don't know if this is an inverse or a reversal of the image, but nonetheless, I tried to shoot it this way. So let's take a look at the first of 6 images that I took here. I did go ahead and take the soldier's jacket off and put his bulletproof vest back on him. So he was showing his guns kind of like the soldier in the inspiration image. It's not quite the t-shirt that he was wearing, but I think this will work for our purposes. Now, as you can see, the only sharp part is actually, you probably can't tell, I started with the top front half of the backside of the soldier's helmet, and then I'm gonna go ahead and carry through these images, and then I just focused on down the image. Now you'll see the eyebrow and the eyeball start to become more in focus, and then as I move further through the image, you'll start to see the shoulder or the bicep come into focus, as you can see here. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend these images the same way I did in Photoshop. I'll meet you back in Lightroom. I guess it'll be right now. I wonder if anybody puts any thought to what I'm doing while I'm waiting for edits. Alright, the image is back from Photoshop. It's auto blended. You can see it's pretty sharp all the way around. I'm going to convert it to black and white, and I'm going to paste in the attributes from that last or the first image that I showed you earlier that I really liked. I like its attributes. It looks really good. Now, of course, the hand and the wrist area, I should say, it looks a little funky, and obviously where the arm is kind of connected in certain spots from the forearm to all the way to the bicep, and then obviously the shoulder area not looking good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some touch-ups here and there. All right, here's the image back out of Photoshop, and the wrist forearm area is a little bit dark for my liking. I think we'll be able to work on this image just a little bit more when we bring it back into black and white. I didn't concern myself with the rear part of the deltoid or the back part of his body because I'm actually gonna crop in to mimic the inspiration picture. So let's go ahead and copy the attributes of the image that I really do like. Go ahead and copy that. Let's go back to our image. Let's go ahead and convert this to black and white, and let's paste in those attributes. As you can see, the wrist forearm area where I cloned is a little bit darker, or a lot darker in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and dodge this area just a tad. Let's turn up the exposure here and see what that looks like. See if I can blend this a little better. And get in there. Yeah, I feel like it's added a little definition or almost musculature to his forearm. It's definitely not the best. I could probably work on this area just a tad more. Really get in there and lighten that part up. I think I'm gonna leave it just like that. What I can do is I'm gonna take a little radial filter, and in this hand part, the back of the hand, I'm gonna bring that down a little bit so it blends a little bit more. That's probably good. That's good. Okay. Like I said, the helmet, I think it's a little plasticky. Maybe we can take another radial filter here and kind of mess with this helmet a tad. Let's give it some texture. Bring up the clarity a little bit on it. The dehaze will definitely, there we go. Yes, right about there. Bring down the exposure some, darken that in a little more. Just giving that helmet a little bit more grit because it was a little too plasticky. Mess with the saturation here a little bit. Down. Actually, yeah, that works. That works. Maybe bring the contrast up a little bit. Yeah, let's take a look. Yeah, that's a lot better. You go from this plastic, which is, the highlights are pretty blown out there, or right on the edge, and you go to this, yeah, that's a little bit better. Obviously, if he had a nice little tattoo on here, that would be cool. But let's go ahead and just crop this image. Let's go ahead and pop the inspiration image on the screen. Okay, just like before, we're gonna lose the front part of the rifle. Definitely not the same rifle. Looks like most of the elbow is in play here, so we'll try to keep most of it here. We'll bring this back part again, just so we lose some of that shoulder, the back side there. That'll be good. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. That's not bad. I tried to mimic the wood log by breaking up a bunch of sticks and kind of putting them together, so it's somewhat realistic, but definitely I have work to do in my clone stamping. More than likely I wouldn't remove the soldier's uniform on the top. I just thought it added an element that made it more realistic to the image that I was trying to mimic, but nonetheless it's not bad. It's definitely not as good as the other one that had, yeah, wow, I love this image. Let's take a look at it here. Let's take a look. Yes. Okay, that's my winning image for the day. But hey, you live and you learn, you try new things, you go for it, you make mistakes, and you just get better. So my Photoshop game needs a lot of help, and I'm gonna get there, but we've got the time, right? And I hope you're staying safe out there. All right, that's gonna do it, y'all. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Leave me a message down below. I'd love to chat with you. Like this video if you liked any part of it, and ring that bell to notify you of new videos just like this one. I love you guys. Peace.